What's going on, everyone? In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 amazing cameras you can get under $150 in 2025. So recently, I went to my local camera store and they told me that everything that's not made in the US is going to go up in prices because of the tariffs. So you're talking about like lenses from Nikon, Sony, Fuji, every camera brand or lens brand that's not made in the USA will go up in prices in the USA because of the tariffs. So if you're looking for a new model camera, it is going to go up in price within a few months. And I think right now is a great time to take a look at the used DSLR market. So if you're on a budget, this video is for you. I'm gonna show you 5 amazing DSLR cameras that you can get for under $150. And just to add, the crazy part about these cameras is that they're not junk cameras too. These are all solid performing cameras and all of them produce amazing images, even in today's standards. So if you're brand new to photography or cameras, these are the cameras that I would highly recommend for you, especially if you're on a budget or if you are just starting out. And also stick around for number 1 because it's one of my favorite cameras and it's also my backup camera as well. Okay, first up is the Nikon D3200. This is one I'd recommend for anyone that is brand new to photography and cameras. I got mine for $110 just for the body itself. And another great thing I like about the D3200 is the guide mode. It's excellent for beginners and it's something I wish I had when I first started out. Another pro is that it's really small and it's also really light. It's great for travel and everyday use. I love bringing it with me when I'm on my weekend getaways. So one of the cons about the Nikon D3200 is that it does not have the autofocus screw. You will not be able to autofocus with the older Nikon D lenses like these here. These will not autofocus with the Nikon D3200. You can use it, but it will just not autofocus. Another con is that it doesn't have Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. It doesn't have a touch screen and the screen does not flip. And I would also not recommend this camera for wildlife or fast action or sports, just because while the focus is pretty good, I think it's just a little slow on the FPS just to get those fast action shots. So the D3200, I still think it's best for beginners or someone that's just brand new to photography or is someone that's just looking for a camera. It's great for portraits and everyday use. It doesn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, but you can always get an SD card reader that you can connect from the SD to your phone. I haven't used that one yet, so if you have used one, please let me know in the comments. Next up, number 4 is the Nikon D5100. It's like the D3200's bigger brother, but it's just a little bit more features. One of the pros about this camera is that it has a flip out screen. The screen does articulate like this, which is actually perfect for videos, vlogging, or if you're getting pretty creative with certain angles. I usually use it when I'm in a tight situation. I'll just bring up the camera and flip the screen. Just like that. Another great thing about this camera is that it shares the same sensor as the Nikon D7000. The 16 megapixel sensor from this camera is amazing. As you can see here with some pictures from the D5100. I would also add that the low light performance from the D5100 is actually pretty good too. It's one of the reasons why I really wanted the D5100 because I really like the low light performance. Another great thing about this camera too is that it shoots at 1080p. And just going to the cons, one of the things I didn't like about this camera is the slower autofocus in live view mode. I don't think it's the best, but it's there if you want to use it. Depending on which lens you're using, it can be really slow or pretty quick. In my experiences with the D5100, it's kind of slow. It does not have any touchscreen, no Bluetooth or Wi-Fi built in it as well. But other than that, it's an amazing camera. I think it's going to be great for people that are on a budget, especially if you want to vlog, or if you want more control without spending too much money like the D5300 and above. For photography, the autofocus isn't that bad, but if you're doing video, I wouldn't rely on it if you're doing like music videos, wildlife, or sports or fast action for videos specifically, just because I think it's definitely on the slower end, especially even if you have a fast lens on it. If you're doing vlogs or B-roll footage, I think that's perfectly fine. I have used the D5100 in the past for my videos. And camera number 3, this one falls under the radar because of the Nikon D7000. It is the Nikon D300S. It's built like a tank and it's still an amazing camera for fast action and sports photography. Some of the pros about the Nikon D300S is that it is a pro grade body. It is weather sealed and it is pretty durable. It has dual card slots, which is great for backups. It shoots at a fast 7 FPS, which is perfect for sports and action shots. I brought it to car events with no issues. Another great thing about this camera too is that it has the autofocus screw. You can utilize the autofocus with the older Nikon D lenses like this, which is really nice to have. This is one of the reasons why I would suggest the D300S, is because you can use the older Nikon AFD lenses or the screw drive lenses with this camera body. Cons about this camera is the video autofocus. I would not rely on the video autofocus system. I just recently reviewed the D300S and a lot of people are saying it's not made for videos, and I would 100,000% agree that it is not made for videos. It's there, but it's just really hard to use. You'll just have to manual focus, but it's there. Another con is that out of these 5 cameras, this one is the heaviest. The D300S is a tank. And another con is that this camera is pretty advanced. It is made for pros, so if you're a beginner, it is going to take some time to really adjust to certain settings, autofocus modes, just to get the pictures you want from it, because it is built more for the professionals. So what is the D300S made for? I think this is made for the hobbyists who want that speed, the build quality, and reliability. So if you know what you're doing, D300S is just right behind the D7000. It's excellent for sports and wildlife photography, and it's pretty quick for autofocusing too. And moving on to camera number 2, the Nikon D90. It was one of the first Nikon DSLRs to shoot HD video, and I got mine for $150 in pristine condition. This was also my first Nikon DSLR that was like a mid-level range camera for me. Let's move back a little bit. My first camera was a Nikon D40, very entry level, basic buttons, and the D90 was a step up from the D40 just because of the controls and the button layout. And one of the pros about the Nikon D90 is actually the sensor. You can definitely get very beautiful colors with it. Another great thing about the D90 is that it also has a built-in autofocus motor, which works with the older lenses. So like the D300S, you can utilize the autofocus with the older lenses. Another pro about the D90 is that I think that it's great for someone that really wants to move up from the entry-level cameras. So if you have like the D3000, the D40, the D60, or even just the D80, if you want to move up to something better, that's a little faster, that has better button layout, the D90 is the answer to those cameras. But if you have like the D3100, the D90 is an excellent backup for that camera too. Talking about the cons about the D90 is that it does not have a flip screen or live view autofocus. It does shoot at a slower FPS compared to the D300S. It shoots at 4.5 FPS versus the D300S's 7 FPS. Another con is that it is a bit bulky by today's beginner standards. As you can see here, it is a bit bigger than the D5100 and a little smaller than the D300S. But I would say right in between, the D90 is a perfect backup, especially if you have a D300S or the D5100 or the D3200. So for the Nikon D90, who is it made for? I think it's made for someone that wants to learn the basics, someone that's on a tight budget, and especially if you're looking for like vintage, or if you have vintage Nikon f-mount lenses, the Nikon D90, great camera to get, especially if you love doing manual controls. As I said earlier, the D90 was my first camera that I learned with, especially really heavy in manual mode. So I think if you're looking for a really good mid-range camera, the D90 is the one to get, especially if you're kind of stuck between like a heavier D300S or the more entry-level D5100. The D90 is a pretty sweet spot in that range. And number 1 on this list is the Nikon D7000. This camera gives you a lot for an amazing price, especially if you can find one for under $200. I've been seeing these slightly go up in price, but depending on the condition it's in, I think if you see one on sale for like $150 and it's still in great condition, pick it up. The great things about this camera is that the 16 megapixel sensor is still amazing. It still produces amazing colors, amazing image quality, and the low light performance is still really good. I'm not afraid to use ISO 2000 to 6400 depending on how much light I get to work with. Another great thing about this camera too is the dual card slots. Perfect for weddings or events. Another great thing about this camera is the updated 39 autofocus point system. It's fast, it's accurate, and it also shoots at 6 FPS, which is just right behind the Nikon D300S, but it's still at 6 FPS, pretty good for sports. And like the Nikon D300S and the D90, it also has the autofocus screw drive. So you can use the autofocus on the older Nikon AFD lenses, which is really nice. Cons about this camera is that it does not have a touchscreen or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth built in. And another con, maybe for some, but if you're really depending on this camera to do video, the autofocus is not that great. It's usable, but like the D50-100, I would not rely on it for fast action sports or even just wildlife. If you're looking to do more video, just get your phone. It's going to be a lot better. But if you really want to utilize the video, you can still use it, but I just wouldn't rely on it. Another con, just from my experience with it, when you're moving on from like an entry level to this camera, or if you're brand new to photography or cameras, is the menu system. It can be pretty complicated because there's a lot of camera jargon that is just thrown at you. But if you're a mid-level photographer or you're looking for a second backup camera, this D7000 still holds up today. So who is this camera for? I think it's more for serious beginners, hobbyists, or even like semi-pros that want a second camera or a second DSLR. The Nikon D7000 is my backup camera. So let's just do a quick recap. The Nikon D3200 is a super beginner friendly. The Nikon D50-100 has a flip screen, and you can basically be really creative with its flexibility because of that screen. The D300S is fast, durable, and it's perfect for action. No doubt about that. The Nikon D90, it's an instant classic all-arounder. Does everything in between what the D300S can do and what the D50-100 should have been capable of doing. Well, excluding the video. The D90's video is not that good, but still, the D90 is the best of both worlds between the D300S and the D5000 or the D3200. I know I must have said the D50-100 earlier, but comparing it, the D3200 to the D300S, the D90 is the sweet spot. And the D7000 is probably the best deal under $150 in 2025. So don't let the age of these cameras scare you away, because they are still very capable. All of these cameras can help you create amazing images, learn the fundamentals, and help you grow your photography skills. So let me know in the comments which one you'd pick up, or if you've had one of these already, please share your experiences with it, because I love reading it, and I'm pretty sure someone in the comments will read your experiences. So my personal favorite would have to be the Nikon D90. I know I just said the D7000, but the D90 was my first camera that I learned with for 2 years. I had my 50mm 1.8G stuck on the D90 for literally a year, just because of the amazing images I was getting from it. So also remember that it's not always about the gear you have, it's about how you use it. Having the latest and greatest camera will not always give you the greatest shots. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about these cameras or another camera you think is really good under $150 from Canon, Fuji, Sony, or those other camera brands, let me know in the comments, because I would like to hear your experiences with those cameras too. I know it's not the mirrorless cameras, but the DSLRs are still really strong right now, especially with the tariffs going up and raising the prices on the new cameras. I think it's a great time to buy DSLRs. Let me know in the comments what cameras you're using, or what cameras you've gotten for $150 or less, or if you got a good deal. I heard someone, I just recently read that someone bought like a Nikon D800 for like $250. Blew my mind, which is an amazing camera. So examples like that, share them below. And again, thanks for watching, everyone. See ya.